Right now, I'm going to give a floor to two of my colleagues, Kadri Ukrainsky and Ott Perna, that are going to introduce our new program, which is Entrepreneurship in Economic Policymaking. So please, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. I'm very happy to have you here. And of course, who else should provide entrepreneurial program in economic policy making than Estonians? Yeah, you heard that Estonian government is very tech savvy. We have a lot of advances in our public services, but also we are generally very entrepreneurial. So I think one can surely say, already in the light of recent events, that we are quite startup-minded government as a whole. So I think we have a lot to teach to the world, and that is what we are going to do with the program. So before we talk more about the program, let me introduce myself first, and then give floor to Ott to introduce Ott. So I'm economic professor here in Delta Building, and my field is innovation policy. All my life I have dealt with practical issues, advising Estonian government, different ministries, economic affairs, education and research, but also OECD and European Commission. But last 3 years of my life I have actually dedicated into changing an old university faculty into a new startup-minded, student-oriented, practical and active community. So everybody is talking about quiet Tartu life. So my life has been dedicated to disturb this quiet life and offer many different events and practical exercises, international collaborations, etc. So, and I'm very happy to introduce to you Ott, and Ott is the second professor who is teaching in the new program. So Ott, please introduce yourself.
Hello from my side, hope you hear me. I'm in Italy currently, sorry not being present at the Delta Center, where I spent a lot of time while in Estonia. My name is Ott Perna. I'm an entrepreneur and a visiting professor at the Delta Management School, and my focus is on innovation and entrepreneurship. And innovation and entrepreneurship in both the private sector, the third sector, or the NGO sector, as well as the government sector. I have a PhD in economics from the University of Tartu and a Master of Philosophy degree from Science and Technology Policy Research Center of the University of Sussex. The center was called SPRU. It's a main hub in Europe for science and technology policy research as well as innovation management. I've also studied in the University of Southern Denmark, as well as at the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy in Singapore, at the Singapore University. My professional background is twofold, or threefold, I would say. I used to be an innovation and technology policy expert at the Minister of Economic Affairs of Estonia. And later on, after coming back from England, I was the founding CEO of Estonian Development Fund, which used to be a state-owned venture capital fund as well as foresight unit. So we did different long-term economic policy studies for the future. And now, yes, I'm here partly at our center, at the Delta Center, and serving the Delta Management School. And also with Kadri, we have developed that program we are going to introduce to you.
All right. Thank you. So, as you probably have understood, this is not a typical student program we are looking for. So, to whom we are orienting this program and who we see as our students. So basically, if you have already a master program, then this program could serve you as a shortcut into the field. So you would have 1 year master program without doing another master thesis or other, general skills building subjects. So you will focus only on entrepreneurship, economics, and policymaking. So basically, if you have master program already and want to have a short program, this program is for you. Or alternatively, if you don't have master degree, but have bachelor degree and 5 years experience, work experience, then you also can apply, and we will evaluate your experience and decide based on that if you are fit for our program. What is also important to mention, that this program, which is 1 year program, if taking all together, can be also taken in 3 different modules. And these modules are micro degrees, which give you some specific knowledge we will talk about a little bit later. And then you can also, maybe you want to learn some specific fields, then you can also have short modules as micro degrees. But I want to ask you, since you have had your whole life career in the public sector, so what kind of careers could our graduates pursue after they have finished this 1 year master program?
Okay, thanks, Kadri. Well, while developing the program, we had the future students in mind, their profiles and needs, as well as the overall changing and turbulent world around us, which is currently happening, and more widely as well. To put it into one sentence, then the Entrepreneurship in Economic Policymaking program is an innovative, hands-on, practical 1 year master's program for policymakers, practitioners, experts from consultancy business, as well as from international organizations. This is like to put it into one sentence. But more precisely, we are looking for today's and future public sector managers, top leaders as well. We look for mid-level managers in the public sector who are on the road to the top management positions. So it's a sort of a springboard for them. It can be a springboard. We're looking for policymakers and experts in the field of economic policy, industrial policy, innovation and technology policy, science and research policy. We're also looking for public sector professionals and managers who are taking sabbaticals, meaning year off, kind of re-educating yourself. Of course, experts and employees of different consultancy and auditing firms who are tackling public sector could be a useful program for them. Well, who else? Today's and future politicians, for example, who are dealing with economics and research and innovation policies in their countries. Then, of course, staff and experts from different international multilateral organizations, the European Commission, the UN, the OECD, the World Bank, the IMF, all of them could get useful inputs for their own career building through this program. And of course, today's and future managers and experts from different industry organizations. So we're also looking for people from the private sector who are dealing with the government or with the public sector from different angles. And of course, different managers, future managers of executive agencies, state foundations, state-owned enterprises. And as Katri said, and myself as well, that we both have, and our team as well has background from the public sector from very many different angles, both working for the public sector as well as working with different consultancy companies and multinational organizations serving the public sector. Then we kind of have quite good understanding what are the current challenges, especially that they are cross-disciplinary, they are not monodisciplinary, and we have developed the program around these challenges. So you are kind of a problem solver once you have finished our studies.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But yeah.
Thank you.
To put it into theory, I can put it. Okay, I can put it into theory as well. For example, if there is a troika model of innovation in the public sector, and actually, if you want something to happen in the public sector, you need kind of power promoter at the top level. You need process promoter in the middle level who knows how to do it, and then you need kind of technology promoter at the lower level. So, and the program is kind of suitable for all these layers and activities in between of them. Thanks, Kadri, I give back to you.
Yes, okay, thank you. So you started already to talk about the content, and actually let's talk now about the modules that we have. As said, we have 3 modules, and I will start with describing briefly the first module. So every manager in a small country knows that you cannot do without understanding the bright, wide world and how things are organized there. So our first module is oriented into explaining you how the modern global governance works, what are international governance trends, how are different cultural aspects impacting our everyday world of policymaking, and maybe also we go a little bit in depth into monetary fiscal policy and markets. And what I want to say is that we take everywhere the economist's view. So we ask about costs and benefits, who is receiving what does it cost to produce all these services, how to manage in these international organizations, etc., etc. And how we plan to do it, of course, we will have textbooks, so you cannot escape textbooks in masterclasses. But we will also have Estonians and our international partners who have worked in high places in the World Bank, European Commission. We have one European commissioner on board, in IMF, etc. So you will actually hear firsthand how these organizations are working in practice, what are the policy challenges and governance trends firsthand from practitioners as well. Okay, what about the second module?
Well, the second module, we have called it Masterclass for Public Sector Entrepreneurs. So entrepreneurship is not a monopoly of a private sector. We deeply believe that it's something which needs to be placed also in the public sector. And as we said before, it's also a separate nano degree. So basically, you can, from our university, you can take a nano degree of called as Masterclass for Public Sector Entrepreneurs. But what does it consist? We're talking about leadership, storytelling, public entrepreneurship as such. What does it mean? We are talking a lot about innovation in the public sector, how different case studies, what people have made, what leads to innovation in public sector, what prohibits it, etc. When we are looking at economic and industrial policymaking, of course, as this is the core of a program. When we look at risks and crisis management in the public sector, as well as different methods how to solve different crises, because the types of crises are different, and toolbox to solve these crises are also toolboxes have different tools inside of them to solve these different problems. When we're talking about experimental economic policy, what does it mean? Well, come and study. We will tell you what it means. Of course, we're talking a lot about cross-institutional, cross-disciplinary management and leadership in the public sector. And that's why we're emphasizing so much the word leadership, because, I mean, if you're working cross-disciplinary, cross-institution, you can't really direct. You have to engage people, and you have to have a story to tell in order for others to join you or follow you. And then what else we are talking? We're talking about different economic policy and impact studies. This is a separate field for consultancy businesses, for example, as well as state auditors, for example. So, and then finally, practical case studies from around the world. How different people have led different changes in different fields, and what does it mean, entrepreneurship and innovation in the public sector in practice? We try to show you different case studies.
Yes, thank you. And I see the time is running very quickly, so I make a very brief review about our third module, which is economic policymaking in the digital age. So we will talk about Estonian, e-Estonian success story from the kitchen side, how it was made. We will talk about cybersecurity. We talk about digital public finance, etc., etc. All these practical issues public sector is dealing with, but with an Estonian view and practical examples. I cannot tell you more about it, but maybe a couple of words. What kind of methodologies do we use? What is our approach in teaching?
I would say that practicality is one of the key words, and definitely learning with the best and learning from the best is the key of a program itself. So in this way, it's a sort of elite. It's not only for elite, the program, but it's elite program from a perspective that we are really bringing in top-level experts from different countries, top-level practitioners as well as professors. So it's a Tartu University program, but we engage a lot of people from around the university and Europe, and even more widely, we have people from the UK, from the US, etc.
Yes.
Of course, the modularity of the program, but we said it includes 3 different nano programs, meaning that you will meet people who come to study also with nano programs. So we will have a sort of a perfect mix of different experiences inside the classroom, which is important, definitely.
Yes.
And then the program as such, it's surrounded by various international events that we are holding. for example, the Delta Friends Day, Delta Management Conference, the biggest business festival of the Baltics, Startup Day, which is annual business festival just next door to the Delta building. And perhaps finally, the Delta building, as you might have understood, is yes, the Delta Management School is there, and we teach also economics. But we have also Institute of Computer Studies just next door. Now we have Institute of Mathematics and Statistics here now, and as well we have Institute of Technology and Robotics of the University of Tartu, meaning that you study actually around these people, and it's your opportunity to use it.
Okay, maybe just, I don't have time to talk about the details. Please stay tuned in our website and look the updated information about the program. The admission starts in September and the study program starts in February next year. But just as a final teaser to you, we have just signed the Memorandum of Understanding with the University of Toronto, where we start a program where we also will force you to develop the startups that try to do digital solutions for our society. We force you to consult them and work with them. So it is very much practical, hand-on public service development program. So stay tuned and see you hopefully next year.
Thank you very much, Ot and Kadri, for your discussion, for introducing your program. So if you have any questions about this program, I encourage you to leave your questions right now. And I'm pretty sure that if there are some questions left, you can always email to Kadri or Ot and ask them after the info session itself. So I guess it's the right time to open our Q&A session and then take the questions that we received from our participants of today's event. Kadri or Ot, will the motivation letter will be also included to the admission process to the new program?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we will, although, as Ot said, we will teach you a little bit about entrepreneurial storytelling, because obviously in public sector, you have to convince everyone if you want to make some changes or new programs. But then in your motivation letter, you have to do a little bit storytelling about yourself, your interests, why you want this program, why you will suit to this program. So we are looking very much forward to having very nice stories about the potential public entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Perhaps, just to add, perhaps you can add something about what you will bring to the program. What is your profile? What is the added value by you to the program? Because as we have experienced people around you, everybody would contribute a little bit.
What about our new program, Kadri and Ot? Would you have any requirements to a bachelor's or master's degree?
No, actually, we don't have field-wise any requirements. So you have to be, or you have to have master degree already or bachelor degree with 5 years work experience. So these are the requirements, actually. Because you see, in public sector, you actually have very different fields. So you have environmental, you have innovation, you have economic policy, you have social policy. So there can be people with various backgrounds. And very often it happens that as a young student, you actually do not think that you are going to work for a government. You never think that you will be prime minister, right? Mm. But it happens somehow, right? And that you end up in working with government, and then you do not have very often these skills to do changes, to offer new innovations, to offer new public services, and this is the gap where we want to help you and give this economic meaning to these things.
Thank you very much. We have a question probably to Kadri. You have mentioned the collaboration with Toronto. Does it mean that we are going to receive a double degree and we'll spend half of our studies abroad?
No, actually not, because, it is a 1-year master program. The Memorandum of Understanding with Toronto concerns a creative destruction lab program. And this is actually something that you have in many universities no access to. So this is very top-level program which takes in startups all over the world, and our stream will be in societal solutions. So technology startups dealing with societal solutions. And now what happens is that the mentors and scientists come all over the world, from Toronto University, from United States, from University of Oxford, from HIC Paris, and they, together with our master students, help to shape the focus of these startups, help to improve their pitches, to get more funding, help to solidify their financial plans, etc., etc. So you will be working as a master student in helping these startups. So you will work for the top-level startups and get the experience.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to Kadri that this University of Tartu is just one of the universities we are cooperating. So we are cooking the meal from different fields of knowledge and different knowledge hubs globally. For example, we have a program with Wharton Business School from University of Philadelphia, which is one of the number one business schools. So depending on the area you are studying, we have connections to different foreign universities and kind of external professors who are teaching to you are also with foreign backgrounds from these universities. So don't be afraid of not receiving a double degree. Actually, you get more by coming to Tartu. And just to add to Meelis said that Tartu is a small town. Actually, it's a university town at its best. It's not a city. It's not London, but it's something like Boston. Or if you really want to spend your time surrounded by different other students. We have two big universities actually in Tartu. So there are a lot of students. It's basically a student town. So you will have your student life once you come there.
We have also a question about scholarships for new program, if entrepreneurship program offers any scholarship or tuition waivers. And also another question, how much is the tuition fee?
Yes, I didn't have time to discuss the tuition fee. So the tuition fee for the whole program is actually 6,000 euros. So 1 year, 6,000 euros. So it is well placed in the middle of such competitive programs around Europe. So we are not too cheap, but we are also not too expensive. So we currently do not have any tuition waivers, but we are actually working very hard to get some partners who could provide scholarships for our students. And of course, since all the public sector agencies are looking for good workers, then maybe we are successful and can advertise specific scholarships as well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. There is a question also about the GPA, if it's important in the application process and what average GPA should I have in order to apply. Maybe, Kadri, you can start. If it's going to be important for your program, the average grade from the previous education.
For our program, it's not going to be important. We will decide basically based on your experience, based on your motivation. And of course, if you have a master degree, then based on motivation letter only. So we will not look at the grades. Yeah.
Kadri or Ot?
Yes, our program is actually meant for working people. So the sessions are mostly once in a month, 4 hard days in a row. And then, of course, if you have CDL sessions or where you consult the startups, and we have, you can yourself, then in group works, in different discussions, you can determine your schedule. So it can be entirely on weekends or evenings, so as you decide. So yes, our program is meant for working people. And actually, we have 1 year program, but you can take it by parts or part-time. So you can actually have this 1 year program dragged into 1.5 years. So no pressure, because we understand that it is hard.
Thank you.
To add to Kadri, when as it's a mid-career program what we are having at the management school, then sometimes your employer might also finance your studies, or they have perhaps sent you to these studies. Yeah. Or if they want to upgrade your position at the ministry somewhere or in an international organization, they might finance it as well, and they might give you a part-time sabbatical or something that you can study, because you need to put some efforts to studies as well, otherwise you won't get why you came.
Yes.
So the choice is yours, basically.
Definitely, but the studies should be in priority.
Absolutely.
Yes.